Hi everybody, I hope you're all doing really well. I'm doing this live IG tonight because I got Brian Laundrie's birth date. So now we get to take a peek and take a look at who is he? Who is he behind the scenes? What is really going on? What kind of character does he have? We get to now understand more in depth the relationship between him and Gabby Petito. So this is going to be a very interesting read. Hopefully we'll get a lot more answers and insight to what happened between the two of them and what the fuck is really going on, because everybody wants to know. I want to know, right? I want to know even more details. So I'm going to start with, I have like all these papers around here because I'm looking at his chart, writing myself notes and stuff. So first we're going to start with looking at his chart. So I have his birthday as November 18th, 1997. Okay. And hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me. So for Brian Laundrie, his birthday is November 18th, 1997. And I have him with his moon in Gemini. Okay. And let's just start with moon in Gemini. Moon in Gemini. Very interesting people. Well, I'm going to say one thing I find very interesting with his moon in Gemini is moon in Gemini people, their minds, the way they work. Well, one thing is they could see multiple, situations from multiple angles, right? They could see things from multiple angles. The other thing with moon in Gemini is it doesn't help, because Gemini is an air sign. It doesn't really help with mental stability. The other thing that I found too, that I found very interesting, is he has K2 aspecting his moon, and he has Saturn, aspecting his moon. So K2's trining his moon, and Saturn is squaring his moon. So when K2 trines the moon, it makes someone feel very alone, isolated. But one of the things that happens with this moon K2 aspect is, people tend to hold their feelings in, right? Or they don't like to publicize their feelings, right? So it could be that maybe he has a healthy way of expressing his feelings, but he doesn't like to, let everybody always know what he's thinking on the inside. But being that moon is in Gemini, he could be one way with one people, another way with other people. I'm a Gemini ascendant, okay? So I know how we roll, all right? I know how we roll. But what's interesting is he has a Saturn retrograde squaring his moon, so it makes him feel, awkward in the public eye. So it's interesting when you watch him doing that those videos with Gabby. He always seems to be a little bit uncomfortable, held back, shy. It's like there's something very odd, like he doesn't feel like himself, and that's because of Saturn squaring his moon. Moving forward, which I thought was very interesting. Where the hell did I put these notes? Moving forward, what I thought was very interesting about him was he has Rahu in the third house. Rahu in the third house gives you great creative abilities with the hand. It makes you, be able to do things with your hands. And, interestingly enough, he would do like these art drawings with his hands, But Rahu could give you like multiple different kinds of skills with the hands, with marketing, with communications, and he has his Rahu in Provar Falguni, so that's all about entertainment, having fun. So he likes to have fun and just do all kinds of things with his hands, and that's what he'd do. He would draw, I think, little cartoons and stuff like that. Some of them a little bit bizarre in my opinion, but who am I to judge? I'm just an astrologer. So, I'm more than just an astrologer. I'm not just an astrologer. I'm an astrologer, psychic medium, and mother, wife extraordinaire. I got to pump myself up a little bit. So I thought that was interesting. Now, moving along, when I look at where Gemini is, because, when you look at charts and you don't have someone's, thank you, Lucci, when you look at someone's chart and you don't have their exact birth time, you always want to look at their moon. And so you make the moon the Chandra Lagna, right? And so in this chart, I'm seeing that the dispositor for Gemini, in other words, the Lord of Gemini, is in the sign of Scorpio. So he's someone that, yes, deals with conflicts. And in Scorpio, he has Sun, Pluto, and Mercury conjunction. So sex is interesting for him. With Sun, Pluto, Mercury conjunction, this is also about, transformation of self through difficulty, through obstacles. This could be, trying to shine your light. But sometimes what I see with Sun and Pluto conjunction, it's not always the healthiest conjunction for ego, for self, for the mind. Kate, not Kate, but the sixth house is like obstacles, troubles, debts, illness, things that you're trying to work out. So, it does indicate a bit of a hurt ego, but it does also say that he has the ability, the strength, and the power to overcome, enemies and obstacles and challenges in life, but it also indicates that he's someone who has some psychological in-depth insight into people and situations. And if any of you watched that video today, where him and Brian and Gabby are pulled over by the cops, and he's just trying to mitigate decision. He's trying to, mitigate the situation. He's trying to problem solve. This would be an example of that. Okay, moving along, I also saw that he has Venus, Mars in the 7th house from his moon. Okay, so when you have Moon Mars opposition, you have Venus Moon opposition, it's not that easy, because when you have Mars in the 7th house, remember what I said in the last video when I was talking about Gabby, this is an indication of aggressiveness. This is also an indication of jealousy. This is also an indication of abuse. This is also an indication of feeling competitive with the opposite sex. This is also an indication of, someone who's very romantically and sexually inclined in their relationship, right? So this is very important for him in his relationship. You know what I mean? So I would imagine that with respect to his relationship with Gabby, that he felt, very strong sexually towards her, but also means wanting to dominate relationships, him feeling he wants to dominate the relationship. But interestingly so, it also shows, because he has his 5th lord in the 7th house, he's someone who falls in love, so whoever he chooses to, have a partnership with him, he's very much in love with him. Very much in love with them. So, his relationship with Gabby, yes, I would say that there's real genuine love there, or there was at some point. But also we have to look at the fact that Mars is in the 7th house. So that means there's obstacles, there's problems with love, there's fighting with love life, fighting with partner that you love, and making some sacrifices. Interestingly, too, that I noticed is, being that he has a 6th lord in the 7th house, it also shows litigation, obstacles, disputes with reference to legal matters with, the person that he's with. And, they were driving on the road for a while. That they're practically a married couple. They're engaged, they're driving the road together. They're discovering, America, going through the West, so they're practically like married, right? And from what I understand, they wanted to get married, but they couldn't because of this whole COVID situation. So this is starting to really paint a picture for me so far, and I'll get more in depth into it. So then we have his 7th lord at the 8th house. When 7th lord is in the 8th house, this indicates like major life changes, major big events with spouse, but it also shows deep interest in shared finances with the spouse, shared resources with the spouse. So, whoever he chooses as a partner, there's also this interest of making money together with the partner, having a business with the partner, having money with the partner, And when I was looking at his 8th house, he has Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune there. So that also indicates to me that, maybe something could be happening unexpectedly with regards to the marriage, the life of the marriage, right? So 2nd house, Maraca house? A killer house is how they say it in Vedic astrology. So 2nd house from 7th house and 2nd houses, but I'm just looking at the 7th house as if it's like a person. So it's interesting to see that there's, Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune there, but it also shows that there are some, remember, Neptune is a planet of illusions. There's some things that are not so clear about these shared finances, and 8th house is also the house of, death, and it's the house of transformation. It's the house of psychology, but also indicates here with all three of these planets that, there must have been some psychological trauma going on with this relationship, right? So we move on. He has K2 in the 9th house, of course, because that's the Rahu K2 access. And so that means he's someone who naturally loves traveling, adventure, and he does have some luck, but one thing it does show you, K2 always tells you what your fear is. What is your fear? Well, his fear is lack of freedom. 9th house is also the house of freedom. His fear is not being able to have freedom to do whatever he wants, but freedom where? Freedom, I want to say, with career, okay? That's important to him, but also freedom as a person. So now when I was looking into his 10th house, because you want to look at what all the planets are doing. In the 10th house, he has Saturn retrograde. Whenever you have Saturn retrograde in any house, any retrograde planets means that there's some past life unfinished business. And Saturn in his house is sitting in a 10th house. 10th house is authority. It's the father. But Saturn rules his 8th and 9th house. So that means, there's some past life stuff, some unfinished business that he has to deal with in this lifetime, and it also indicates to me that he's someone who's going to be burdened with some like really big loads of responsibility, because Saturn is all about responsibility. So it tells me that there is something he wasn't responsible for in a past life that he has to now take responsibility in this life, right? And Saturn's also aspecting his 12th house, which is the house of loss. It's also aspecting the 7th house, which is the partner. Interesting, right? I'm going to paint the picture for you soon. So the other thing I noticed is there's a mutual exchange between Jupiter and Saturn. So that means some of this karma has to do with partner-wife, with the shared resources, and of course, traveling. And also, okay, when you have your 10th house Lord in the 8th house, that means, because what is 10th house? 10th house is not only authority, but it's also your career, it's your public image, it's the way the world views you. And here he has the 10th Lord in the 8th house. 8th house is also the house of scandals. But there we have Uranus and Neptune there, so that means some sudden scandal, but that's a mystery because Neptune is also mysteries. So he's really playing out his life, his journey, his karma right now, okay? Other thing that I found very interesting too is, his 11th house Lord, which is Mars, is in the 7th house. That means his hopes and dreams all have to do and is tied in with marriage. So this relationship was really important to him, deeply important to him. Okay. And don't forget, 7th house is also the house of business partnerships. So, what I also find interesting is that his 12th house Lord, which is Venus, is in the 7th. So that also means that some kind of disaster is going to strike with regards to marriage, with regards to relationships, right? Something that we don't expect is going to happen. It also indicates loss. 12th house is the house of endings. Finito, bye, ciao, good night, sayonara. And now he came back home to Florida without Gabby. Something ended. And interestingly, Gabby was in her 9th personal year, which also has to do with endings and saying goodbye. So for Gabby, she's ending this relationship. And interestingly, for Brian, this year is the 7th personal year, which means it's all about looking in. But his K2 is in the 9th house. And remember, 9th house is about losing freedom. So he's losing something this year. And so now he has to look in, and now he's feeling isolated, because 7th house is also about, spiritual developments, but internal spiritual developments, looking within, doing the work on the inside. So he's going to be doing a lot of work on the inside if he hasn't already, right? And the year's not over yet. Now, it's funny because transit-wise, Saturn is transiting Gabby's 11th house. So she decided to go on this travel because she wants to fulfill all her hopes and dreams. She wants to make them happy. That's where her mind is focused on. You know what I mean? She wants to make these things happy because 11th house is your hopes, your dreams, your networks, your circles, And of course, she was trying to build this career on social media with the van life. And interestingly, what I'm seeing so far, something that I forgot to mention is, I hope you're not burning anything over there. You better put the fan on. I'm sorry, my kid is cooking in the kitchen. What I also found very interesting, I know this is mom life, trying to be an astrologer. Mom, I smelled something. Put the fan on. I'm live IG. Food. I know. Don't burn anything. Love you. I'm doing live IG. No time to talk. I love you. I have to throw my kid a kiss. So what I found very interesting is, Gabby's Rahu, because when you look at Sinistry, you always want to look at, you want to look at where the planets are sitting in the other person's house, in the partner's house. And her Rahu was sitting in his second house of finances. So there was this in his, so Gabby's Rahu is sitting in Brian's second house of finance. So Brian, Rahu is always the north node of the moon. Rahu always wants to go after something. Wherever Rahu is, that's what you're trying to go after. That's what you're trying to learn. That's what you're trying to attain. Okay, this is the new stuff you're trying to do. So there's like this obsession, I want to say, about money and finances. There's this really big desire. So what I found very interesting looking at their chart is, I feel like between the two of them, especially looking at him, I think what I'm feeling from this, and I know there's validation in their videos, I feel that this whole idea about the van life and everything, and I think this was her idea, and I believe he was going to go with it. Although he wasn't 100% in agreement, I think that there was creative differences between the two of them, but I think that he was looking at her with respect to seeing, okay, I'm going to get money out of this relationship, because I keep feeling some connection with money, but I also keep seeing the jealousy and the physical abuse, the mental and emotional abuse. It's there. When you're putting the two charts together, it's there. It's definitely there. So I feel that, oh God, hold on. All right. So I feel that what was taking place between the two of them is they were embarking on this journey. There was stress around money, because when I was looking back at Gabby's chart, she's stressed out financially. You know what I mean? She's stressed out financially. They're tight on money. There's also a lot of money spent. So there's like this sense of being upset about money being spent, and probably, it costs them probably a lot of money to do the van and to travel. And when you're eating out all the time, that costs a lot of money. So there's also these great focus on finance, and there's also this great focus on business. But I think that what I'm seeing from here, what we're not seeing on social media, what we don't see about them, is I felt that looking at the charts, Brian had a very particular interest in Gabby, and I believe that he was looking at this relationship as something that he can gain from financially. Now, I don't know what kind of money they were making. I don't feel like they were making much, because based on Gabby's chart, there was struggle with money and earning money, but I believe that she had this dream about doing this and eventually making a show out of it, and getting financial stability from it. But I don't see that this was going to happen the way that they wanted to. And I see that him being upset about things not going in that right direction. I feel that he was really tight, and I think he was psychologically feeling a little bit fucked up because of what was going on. And I feel that she was also emotionally unstable and erratic, obviously, because of the planetary placements in her chart. She also had that aspect from Saturn on her moon. So she's looking at this whole life of theirs together, that I have to mature and I got to do these things and I got to grow up and I got to be financially independent, which brings me to my point. He wants to have financial work, business connection with Gabby, right? But the way her chart was showing up is that she wants to also have her own separate financial stability. In other words, she wants to do this trip and she wants to dominate how all this is going to go down, right? And I also feel like she wants to make her own portion of money to do with what she wants with it and be able to have her own financial freedom. But it looks like he also wanted to have control over the way the business would go, the business aspect of it would go, which is very interesting to me. So this is giving me an idea of what they were thinking, what was going on in their money, what was going on in their mind with respect to money, you know. And the other thing that I was seeing is as fast as any money would come, it would be going, which probably explains why maybe Gabby's parents or somebody was helping them, you know, somebody was helping them financially, because why else would they be stressed out about money as much as they were? So you guys heard me talk about all those planetary oppositions that was going on in Gabby's chart, right? You know, between August 12th and then the end of the month of August. And now I'm going to be talking about his planets. I mean, his planetary transits. What the hell did I write that? Wait, give me a second. Like I said, I got all these papers everywhere. Okay, so looking at dates from his natal chart, and of course we're just looking at it from the moon, right? August 10th, he has Mercury squared his sun. All right. His ego is probably getting a bit hurt at that moment, right? you know, remember, his ego's feeling a little bit hurt at that time. You know, he's feeling a little bit conflicted. Not a little bit, he's feeling conflicted. Let me just say what it is, you know. Then he has Mars trine Mars, right? And that lasts for like a couple of days. And it's interesting because it was around the 12th or 13th that he got called, he got stopped by the cops. So Mars transiting Mars means that, you know, maybe he was dealing with some issues, you know, some obstacle, because Mars in his chart rules the 6th house, you know, and is sitting in his 7th house. So, you know, some issues or problems with respect to relationship, partnership, but it's a trine. So, you know, nothing really came out of it in a negative sense, right? So that seemed to, you know, come and go. Then we move to the 15th, and we have Mercury trining Mars, right, in his chart. So this is what the perspective of what he's feeling and what he's going through. So Mercury trining his Mars indicates that, okay, they're working through their conflicts, you know, with better communication, with words. So I would imagine, you know, those next few days, you know, things were okay, nothing serious going on. But don't forget, you know, he does have Rahu aspecting his 4th house from his moon in his chart, and that does make one feel very unsettled, you know, and it could make them feel not too happy. Something that I did forget to mention in his chart is he does have a Jupiter and Rahu 6-8 relationship, you know, and he has Saturn and Rahu 6-8 relationship. So Saturn and Rahu on a 6-8 relationship could also indicate someone who's breaking the law or attempting to break the law, right? And Jupiter Rahu 6-8 relationship also indicates someone who could be unfaithful. So that because, you know, what is Jupiter? Jupiter is faith. Right? Jupiter is spirituality. Jupiter is, you know, doing good deeds. When you have an aspect like that, you know, within a 3-degree orb, that to me sets off red flags. Okay, so that means he's someone who may not always play by the rules. He's someone who may not be honest, because a Jupiter in Rahu, relationship like that is, someone could be very slick with their words, be dishonest, could do something immoral, for the sake of getting out of trouble. So going on, anyways, back to the dates. So on August the 20th, right, because we want to go back to get an idea what was happening in the days leading up to Gabby's parents not hearing from her anymore. So on August the 19th, there's a Mercury Venus trine there. They could have been attending some kind of social event, maybe going to, I don't know what they're doing over there in Utah and Wyoming. I don't know, maybe going to a fair, maybe going to lodge where there's lots of people. It just means being happily, socially active. But then that same day, you have Sun squaring Sun. That means he's feeling like he's undergoing some kind of identity crisis. His ego is under pressure, and he's feeling kind of like, what are you doing? People's egos get hurt. His ego is feeling hurt. His sun, where's his sun? His sun is in Scorpio. So whatever's going on, it's really deep for him. And he's not happy about it. And at the time, his sun was in Leo. Also not too far a conjunction from Rahu. When Sun and Rahu get together, ego could get over fucking bored, right? It could be absolutely overboard. So at that point, he's not feeling too happy. Then he has a Mars trine to Venus. This could be that he's trying to work it out through some kind of intimacy with Gabby. Okay. And then on August the 20th, he has Mercury squaring Mercury. That means communication is not going too smooth. Words could be very harsh. Things could be said in a way that's very uncomfortable, plus Rahu and Mercury are conjunct at the time. So that means he could be manipulative with his words. That means he could be trying to, he could be planning something at the same time, because wherever, just in astrology, whenever there's like an aspect, a conjunction or a trine aspect between Rahu and Mercury, it means that you could come up with some kind of like out of the ordinary, out of the box ideas, or say things to influence people in a very extraordinary way, right? Because Rahu is everything multiplied, extraordinary, and out there, right? Rahu is the north node of the moon for those of you that are not familiar with the Vedic astrology terms. So then on the 21st, Mercury is transiting Rahu. So he has some kind of idea in place, right? He's being calculating. He has some kind of extraordinary idea in place. And then Mercury is opposite Ketu, so he's afraid of losing some kind of plan or something not going in the way that he wants to, but it also means that old plan is not working. I got to go with a new plan. Then on the 22nd, we have Venus exactly 90 degrees from Mars. So there's the Venus-Mars square. That means that there's tension with the opposite sex. He's probably feeling emotionally charged, pissed the fuck off, and it is wanting to do something about it, right? So interestingly, on the 23rd, there's a Jupiter squaring the Sun. That means now he has some grand fucking plan in place. And I'm not trying to curse, but it's like, I'm starting to feel things and get ideas in my head, but I'm trying to at the same time be neutral to some degree. But it's funny, when I'm looking at her chart, she has all these oppositions going on, planetary oppositions. That means she's feeling like she's being pushed back. She's not able to get her way. She's not able to do something. She's feeling like stuck between rock and a hard place. And when you have so many of these squares, that means that you're getting ticked off and you have to do something about it. You're feeling challenged, right? When, squares means you're feeling freaking challenged, and now you have to take action, because squares are always challenge and action. Challenge and action. You have to do something about it, right? This is what's going on. Okay, fine. So now it's August 22nd, right? He's feeling upset. He has something in his mind. He's getting set off, right? Don't forget, he also has Rahu in the third house. That means he gets a lot of ideas. Things are coming to him, you know? So moving along, on the 23rd, he has that Jupiter square Sun. He has this big grandiose plan in mind. The 24th comes, which is the next day. He has Mars square Mercury. That means to me that you are acting impulsive, you are being aggressive, you are rushing to do something. And that is also, hold on, so Mercury, yeah, he's rushing to do something. He needs to take action. But the problem when you have the Mars Mercury square going on is sometimes you could say something or do something and it's not the freaking right thing because you're acting hastily. You're acting in a rush. So I'm seeing that this guy, you know, based on his chart, he's probably been holding a lot of his emotions in. He's trying to seem so calm and cool. Don't forget he has his moon in Gemini. No offense to anybody with their moon in Gemini, but moon in Gemini people could be one way one moment, a totally different person another moment. I know people with moon in Gemini. I've seen it. And then there's people that, you know, it depends. Like, where is their, you know, like, for instance, I feel that his moon was in Punavarsu. And then, you know, Lord of Punavarsu is Jupiter. That's in the 8th house. So that also can mean something that he has some deep psychological things going on. He could have also experienced some kind of psychological trauma growing up, and it's still staying with him. Anyway, so imagine this is all going on behind the back of his head. And now at this point, on August 23rd and 24th, he's pissed the fuck off. Now comes the 25th. Right? The 23rd, 24th is I think the last time that that Gabby's mother, Nicole, spoke with Gabby, right, via FaceTime. And then since then, they only communicated via text message up until the 29th, right? Give me a second. I've been talking a lot all day. Man, I was thirsty. So now, 25th comes. Mars enters the same degree where Rahu is in his chart. Okay? When Mars and Rahu gets together, and it's in your third house of willpower, third house is your hands, right? Third house is your hands. Remember what I said earlier in this reading. Third house is your hands. Mars in the third house. Mars means weapon. I mean, I'll give you an example of someone with Mars in the third house. Look at, God, man, what's that guy's...
I just found out.
No, don't interrupt me right now.
News ever,
don't interrupt me right now. Now's not the time.
I am a Taurus.
No, Sophia, I'm having a serious conversation right now.
Wow.
What is the name of that British guy that was on Hell's... Gordon Ramsay. Get out, Sophia. Gordon Ramsay. Get out. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Gordon Ramsay has Mars in the third house. Good with weapons. That guy is a pro with knives. All right, so we have... I hope you guys are entertained a little bit because I know this is a serious conversation. So Mars enters the same degree as Rahu. Now, this is what I want to say. His third house, Leo, is the 6th house for Gabby. I personally feel that he attacked her with some weapon and it happened impulsively or unexpectedly and very quickly. Just looking at this. What could the weapon have been? It could have been, well, let's see, what could have the weapon have been? The weapon could have been, it could have been anything. I have to sit and meditate over that. It could have been anything. I'm going to get back to everybody's questions after I'm done. Don't feel like I'm ignoring you. I'm not ignoring you. So anyways, so I feel that he attacked her. I feel that he attacked her looking at this chart now. I feel he attacked her. He did something to her. All right. So anyways, I'm not going to go into any more details other than that. So on the 27th, right, let's move to the 27th. At that time, It's Venus squaring Venus. That means he has friction with lover, friction with money. But where is Venus in his chart? Well, Venus is in the 7th house for him. That means there's a problem with the relationship. Big problem with the relationship. Remember when I was looking at Gabby's chart and I said it looks like they broke up? This definitely, I feel like they definitely broke up at this point. They're not together, and I'll tell you why. So then on the 28th, Venus is exactly opposite Saturn. Leaving relationship, leaving lover, leaving the marriage, right? And why do I say that? Because he also, at the same time, he has Saturn aspecting his natal Saturn. And guess where? No, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about that. So then on the 28th, right, he also has Venus in an exact trine from Jupiter, right? And on the 30th, he has Sun trine from Mars. So now he has these trines, and around this time is when he's leaving Gabby behind. He came to Florida without her, leaving Gabby behind. So this guy was very busy those days, right? He was very busy. So Gabby is feeling opposed. She's feeling like she's between a rock and a hard place. She's upset. She's sad. She's super emotional. And this guy is just getting pissed off by the day. He's angry. He's holding a lot of his feelings inside, right? Yep. That's what's going on. So now him and his family knows what happened, obviously, because they're protecting him, right? You know, that's what families are supposed to do anyways. You're supposed to protect your children no matter what. And I totally get that, but I don't think that when he does start spilling some beans, I don't think he's going to be honest. Only because of that relationship between Jupiter and Rahu in his chart. He's not going to be honest about everything. He's not going to be telling the truth, and he's going to be manipulating the situation, and don't be surprised. He has his moon in Gemini. He could be one way, one moment, another way, another moment. And sometimes you don't know who the F you're talking to. It could be very, very freaky. Okay, I'm going to answer questions because I know you guys have some questions and I wasn't ignoring anyone. So let's see what these questions are. I should have just pinned my thing. Brian Landry, hold on. Give me a second, you guys. Brian Landry, Vedic astrology analysis. There we go. Okay. Brian Landry's Vedic astrology analysis. All right, I did that already. I had to pin a comment. I don't know why I didn't do it earlier. You know what? I should post this on YouTube. I'm going to save and see if I can. I'm just not technologically savvy. I'm still trying to, do all this social media stuff. It's a lot of work. All right. I'm glad you like listening to my videos while working. Here we go. I know somebody had a question. If you guys have questions, start typing them now. Are you going to do the second part for Gabby? Yeah, I think I'm going to probably look at her chart again just one more time, or maybe I'll look at it from a tarot reading perspective. We'll try it like that and see what else we could come up with. Do you think they had anything to do with the lesbian couple found dead in the same area? I didn't know there was a lesbian couple found dead in the same area. That's a good question. Shoot. Now I'm just gonna get my cards. Give me a second. Now you guys got me so damn curious. Do I think? Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I think that whatever went down between him and Gabby, whatever went down between Brian and Gabby, I think that Gabby was very afraid, very emotional, because we're looking at her chart, her personality, not only was she very empathic, sensitive, but she's someone who really, truly liked to care and give and help people. This guy is different personality, Their moons are square, their Venus are trine, but their Mars, you know, it's like work in the relationship. And then you look at their Jupiter, you know, the way they think. I mean, look, there's some challenges there. There's some challenges. I could see why they were attached to each other for so long, but he was definitely, I want to say, the more dominating factor in in between the two charts. And I also feel like, looking at both their charts, that she felt a lot of pressure in the relationship. You know, she felt a lot of pressure in the relationship. You know, some of it was self-imposed, I have to be honest with you. But what they wanted out of the relationship between each other, one wanted one thing and the other one wanted something completely different, you know. Also, his moon was sitting in her 4th house, so no wonder she was so damn emotional, you know. And for him, I mean, look, she had Moon, Jupiter, Mercury, and Sun in his 10th house. So he saw this as, you know, a really great opportunity that she could help enhance his social standing, you know, enhance his, you know, finances, enhance his career. Okay. All right, let's see. Yeah, well, empaths always think that they could fix people. But the problem with empathic people is that, you know, and also when I was looking at her chart, you know, she had, let me get her chart again. Shit. Guys, if you just saw all these things that I have here, you'd be laughing like, how do I work with all these papers around here? You know, when I was looking at her chart, I mean, she had a lot of placements, planetary placements, that indicated she loves to care for people. She loves to be of service. She loves to help and nurture. And, you know, she did have some OCD. I could see why she had OCDs, but I think that happened, you know, during the relationship, not so much prior to the relationship, okay? And I did watch the entire body cam video on YouTube. I found it listen, I told you, she wants to dominate the way the relationship should go. You know, I think she was passive aggressive. I think they both were in some ways, but do I approve of that? No, but it did indicate to me that she had emotional issues, because she felt, and I said it to you guys when I did the video about his Saturn placement over her Moon and Jupiter and Mercury and Sun. You know, she felt like he had control, and she was acting out because she didn't want him to feel like he can control her. She was, I want to say, being retaliatory, being rebellious, trying to break free, saying, I'm not going to let you tell, you know, she said, what did she say in the video? He was telling her to shut up, shut up, shut up. And she got pissed off because she felt like, he's telling me what to do and I don't want to be told what to do anymore. And that's why she was getting upset. And it completely solidified the reading that I did about her and him, even though I didn't know at the time where his, you know, what his birthday was, but just knowing that Saturn was in that sign of Pisces throughout the month, sitting over her planets in Pisces, you know, especially her Moon and her Jupiter, you know, and her Sun. I mean, he made her feel, because of the synastry between the two, he made her feel inadequate. He made her feel like she's not intelligent. He made her feel like she's immature, you know, and he also made her feel like, you know, she can't do anything without him, you know. The other thing about the whole money, you know, situation, I mean, I don't want to say that he was using her. I mean, look, because when you're in a relationship, you got to work together. You know, you got to work together. And there's a lot of people that, you know, they work together, they have businesses together. You know, you want to be able to make a living. But the way she was viewing the relationship and the way that he was viewing the relationship was two different things. You know, was he in love with her? Yeah. Was he faithful to her in that relationship? Maybe not. Okay, Sophia, stop. This is a serious conversation. I love you. Maybe not. You know, I don't think that I think that because he had the Rahu aspect with Jupiter, I mean, he could have been someone that that what you saw was not always what you get, you know, especially with Moon and, you know, in Gemini. And just looking at the whole chart together, this doesn't mean that everybody with Moon in Gemini is like a bad person or, you know, double-faced or whatever. That's not necessarily true. I know people with Moon in Gemini and that have this extraordinary ability to look at situations from all different angles, and they use it in their working life. I'm just saying, based on what I saw here, how the planets, you know, were affecting his Moon and the way they were situated in his chart. I feel that, you know, I feel that he played games with her, you know, maybe even psychological games with her. And that was not easy. And also his Rahu was sitting in her 6th house. So there's like that battle between each other. And don't forget what I said to you about, you know, the Venus Mars in her chart being in opposition to one another, and the Venus Mars conjunction in his chart in the 7th house, you know. So I think that this is something that we saw accidentally, you know, or maybe I should say coincidentally, but it also described, that video also described to me that, you know, she's someone who has some emotional issues, and they probably just intensified even more because of the relationship, because of the energy of the relationship. And that's what happens. Those things do happen. Okay. All right. You guys are funny. Empaths get with narcissists. Yeah, they can attract. He was in it for the money and popularity. You know, I don't think that that's not, I don't think that that wouldn't be true. I do think that there's a lot of validity to that statement. I do believe that he was in it for the money. Guys, hold on with me for 1 second. Stay out, Prince. Oh my gosh. Are you freaking kidding me? Well, you need to go and be quiet and shut that door. That's what you need to do, miss. All right. All right, here we go. What's the other questions you got? I just feel she took all the blame in that video to cover up for him not to be in the trouble. I think she did too, because look, I said to you guys before, she's definitely empathic. She's super sensitive. She's also a people pleaser. You know, always wants to please, always wants to try to do the right thing, always trying to overcompensate. And I could definitely see that here. Like I said, he's the more dominant one in the relationship, although it may not have seemed that way in the video. I do feel that she was trying to cover up for him, but I also feel that she was acting in rebellion to him because she just didn't want to feel like he always had the upper hand and he was always the one making, you know, I guess the rules or saying what to do, where to go. The police thought someone was drinking at first. Well, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised because her Rahu sits in his 2nd house from the moon. And so that could indicate someone who wants to drink, you know. So I would not be surprised by that. I would not be surprised by that. And also with Rahu in the 5th house, that is someone who loves to you know, she has Rahu in the 5th house. So she loves to have fun, explore, do things that make her feel good, right? Because Rahu is in the 5th house in Cancer, so feelings are very important for her. There is a lot of self-blame on her part. Totally, I've seen that. He was a narcissist and she was showing reactive abuse, how she kept apologizing. Absolutely, I totally agree. I totally agree with that. I was hoping you were going to do a video on Gabby. I did do a video on Gabby. Go to my IGTV tab and you will see the video. You just have to read the caption to see what that video is. I did do a video on Gabby yesterday. Okay. Do you think that she's still alive? I don't want to answer that question because of the family. Love the family interaction. I know you do. You guys see what I do, what I deal with at home. I love doing this work, but you know what? I can't take away from the fact that I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I am a housekeeper. I clean up my own house. You know, these are all real life stuff. You guys are witnessing the life of Astro Devi. Okay, so he made her feel like she could do anything. Even in the video, she said he thinks I can't make the blog, and it's crazy that they kept saying they were YouTubers, yet they only had one video on there. Yeah, well, look, his Saturn was influencing her natal sun. So when you have that kind of a conjunction, it makes you feel insecure. It brings down your confidence, because sun is confidence. It's where it's where your ego is at. And when you have sun conjunct the Saturn, when you have sun conjunct Saturn, Saturn dampens your ego and you feel sometimes humiliated, you feel embarrassed, you feel shy, you feel like you're not good enough. It's not easy. It's not easy to do that. But look, this is what happens. That's why it's important. That's why astrologers, such as myself, say it's always important to do analysis, right? A synastry reading on your chart and your partner's chart so you can get an idea of how both your charts are going to influence the other. Because how they say when you get married, two become one. It's true. You have two charts that start to interact as one chart. Hey, I'm a Gemini and we are not crazy. No, girl, we are not crazy. We just have a lot of different sides to us, which brings me to my point. That guy mentally has a few different sides to him, I'm a little concerned. I'm a little bit concerned because I do feel that he, as loving and as affectionate and as doting of a partner he is, I do feel that there was another side to him that we were not seeing, but I also feel that whatever happened, and I got to be honest with you, whatever happened with her, I don't feel like it was something that was long-term planned. I feel that this guy had this idea in this dream that we're going to be together, we're going to get married, we're going to have a business together, we're going to make it work somehow, we're going to do it. But what she was feeling, what I could tell from looking at the charts, is she felt like, I'm so in love with this guy, but I'm really sad because it's really not going the way that I planned. And, although to some degree, they're both really immature. They're babies. At least to me, they're babies. When I look back at when I was 22 years old, 23 years old, not that mature, right? You're mature enough to have a job. You're mature enough to drive a car, but you're not that mature enough to make serious life decisions because you're just growing up. You know what I mean? So I imagine that these two had some big ideas, but their ideas were not in alignment with the other ones, so there was that discrepancy. So I feel that she was upset and she felt like she was going to leave this guy, and I felt that she wanted to break up with him, but she didn't know how to go about it. And I also felt like she was just so emotionally charged and emotionally attached to him that she didn't even know how to break up with him either. And him, I felt that he was angry with her because he felt like, you're going to do what? You're going to humiliate me? You're going to humiliate me in front of all these people? You're going to, and think about it. When you have that kind of relationship publicized, where people are seeing, the more intimate details of your life, such as traveling together, sitting in a tent together, they have like this display, this display of emotions. I'm not into PDA, right? Unless it's with my kids. I love my children, but they're showing the world, their relationship, and they're making it seem so sweet and so perfect. And those are the ones that you need to worry about, because no relationship is super sweet. No relationship is perfect. And when someone is trying really hard to make it look like something's going one way, you got to wonder what's really going on behind the scenes. And then looking back, like I looked at a few videos and I noticed that, he doesn't feel comfortable being in front of the camera. That to me, I thought was very interesting. He doesn't feel comfortable being in front of the camera. I also noticed that the last couple of posts that he made on Instagram, it's like, in comparison to all the other photographs, it's like he's trying to show that I got this. trying to show pride, trying to show that I'm okay. But something I noticed that was very interesting to me was that he wasn't wearing, I guess, a necklace that he supposedly bought her. You know, when a man stops wearing something a woman bought her, like he was wearing it all the time, and then all of a sudden he stops wearing it, that indicates I'm disheartened. I don't want to be with you. I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't need this. I don't want that, you know? So that to me felt like, okay, this was symbolic of him trying to like get away. So I also feel too that he was upset. I think that I feel that they did break up. I felt that also that the relationship was becoming very toxic for the both of them, right? And I also felt that he was very angry about it. I felt that he was very, very angry about it, you know, because like I said, when you look at his chart, right, his hopes and his dreams really is focused on marriage, partnership, right? But that was going to be impacted by some obstacles in the relationship. And look, he had all those planets in the 8th house. He has that Jupiter, Saturn retrograde exchange. That means there's going to be some scandals, some crazy shit was going to happen. This is part of his learning his life experience, you know, in this lifetime. And I get the feeling like, you know, there's something he didn't do right in a previous life that he has to do and get right in this lifetime. So, very interesting. But whatever happened, I do believe that if something happened in the heat of the moment, it could have been an accident. It could have been something that was not, you know, too thought out. But yeah, I think that I think that he's the one that was more aggressive in the last second half of the month of August. But everything's going to come out, and I'm going to be really interested to see how all this plays out. All right, guys. Any other questions? Thank you so much for chiming in. Yeah, Elizabeth, it's very plausible. You know, I don't want to comment as to, you know, and I'm going to say this in Albanian. Zdua me thon ashta, you know, ashta jo gjallo dekun se qërta ajo e ka nan, e ka bab, e besa e ka një vlla, and it's, you know, it would be very heartbreaking to even think about anything like that right now. So, all right. All right, you guys, if you want a Vedic astrology reading, if you want a synastry analysis between you and a partner, or if you're dating and you want to know what your relationship is going to be like, where's it going, or if you're looking for the right, you know, man or woman in your life, I could read their charts and see how it's going to impact you and, you know, where the relationship is going to go, where your strengths and weaknesses are going to go. It's also great to get a Vedic astrology reading personally to see what's happening in your life. So this way you can make changes and adjustments. For instance, if I was reading Gabby's chart, I would have had her on a particular, I would have recommended a particular diet. I would have recommended particular vitamins. I would have recommended particular mantras to help her really hold in her energy and to strengthen it. So this way she wouldn't have been so empathic, so vulnerable to the world around her. And I'm very certain that just simple remedies like that would have changed her life around. And I could have done one for him too, you know, to kind of at least help him move into a little bit of a different direction. But look, everything, you know, everything happens as it happens. You and I could just, you know, talk until we're blue in the face. What coulda, shoulda, you know, would have happened. But yeah, definitely do a Vedic astrology reading. They're very helpful, especially if you're concerned about kids. I look at my kids' charts. That's how I know how to help them, what's going on. That's why I'm a patient mom. You see Sophia coming in, my little sunshine. And I'm not bugging out because I get it. I get how kids are, you know, but it's good because Vedic astrology, you could see your weaknesses, you could see your strengths, so you could capitalize on your strengths and you could, you know, strengthen your weaknesses. So you could bring balance into your life. That's the whole point of Vedic astrology, looking at yourself in a different perspective so you could help yourself because you are your own best friend and nobody's going to do for you what you can do for you. Okay, if you're looking for a psychic medium session, if you're looking to connect with your loved ones on the other side or your spirit guides, I could do that for you and I love doing them. They're very healing. they're awesome. They're amazing readings. If you're looking for a tarot reading, you want to know more in depth, how does somebody feel about me, what's going on, and some other things more intimately, just like Vedic astrology, all the readings are accurate. The most accurate being with timelines is Vedic astrology, right? Because it'll show us some key things, some calculating key things that I don't accurately see, like timelines in Vedic astrology, but I mean in tarot readings, but I do see it in Vedic astrology. Anyways, message me to do a reading. I'd be happy to do one. You will love doing readings with me. They're always fun. I will see you all soon. I got like 20 seconds left on this. Big hugs. God bless. Have a good night. I'll see you all soon. It's Aster Devi. Bye, everybody.